there, folks. Today I thought I'd bring you along for a special little project. I am going to make corned beef. Now, I did a test run of this in November. I take that back, November. And it was fantastic. So I had 3 more full briskets in my freezer in preparation for this. I pulled them out, I thawed them, I trimmed them up and got them all cut into chunks. And I did chunks, I did good sized chunks, like 2 inches by 2 inches. Because I'm going to pack them into half-gallon jars, cover them with a brine, and I'm going to let them sit in my refrigerator for at least a week. And then, in another video, I'm going to show you how to can them. So, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get the ingredients together to make the brine. Because what we're going to do is heat that up, get everything combined, bring it to a boil, and then we're going to let that cool because we don't want to put hot brine on the meat because it'll start to cook it. So, I'm going to show you how we get the brine together, and then I'm going to let it cool, and then I'll bring you back when we're putting everything in the jars. So, I'll be back with you shortly and show you how to make the brine. Okay, folks, welcome back. What I thought I'd do is talk to you about the ingredients that I'm putting in the brine. So, what I'm going to do is I've got a gallon of water on the stove in a big pot. And I am going to add all of the ingredients that you see here into there, bring it up to a boil, make sure everything's dissolved, and then I'm going to take it out of the pot, probably let it cool a little bit, and then get it in the refrigerator so it can get nice and cold. So, what I have in here is 1 cup and 3.5 tablespoons of Morton's kosher salt. Now, I got this recipe, I should say I got the base of this recipe from Simply Recipes, but I have adapted it to be what I want it to be, but they're very specific on their salt. So they say 2 cups of Diamond Crystal brand kosher salt, or 1 cup and 3.5 tablespoons of Morton's kosher salt. And I'm guessing that's due to the size of the granule, how big the grains of salt are. So I did follow their salt recommendation. They also call for a 1/2 cup of brown sugar, which I did as well. Now, they made their own pickling spice by using individual spices. You can certainly do that. If I remember, I will also try and link this recipe, put a link in for the recipe where I got the inspiration from. What I did is I bought a pickling spice from Gordon Food Service. They use a total of 3 tablespoons of their pickling spice, so I used 3 good tablespoons of the pickling spice from Gordon Food Service. I added a tablespoon of black peppercorns. I added a just shy of a tablespoon of ground ginger, which they also have in their recipe. And the one thing that we haven't talked about, which they have in their recipe as optional, which I have seen a lot of discussion about it, is pink curing salt. Which is sodium nitrate or nitrite, one of the two, or both, I'm not sure. But you'll see a lot of recipes call for pink curing salt. The pink curing salt makes the corned beef pink. That's really what it does. It is not necessary to the flavor or the success of the recipe. For me, I did not feel like adding a chemical into my recipe if it wasn't necessary for the process. It is completely up to you. Do what works for you. When I did the test recipe in November, I did it without, and the meat is, the color of beef. When beef is cooked, this looks like cooked beef. It is not pink like traditional corned beef. So it's completely up to you. If you're looking for a specific color, then you may want to use the pink curing salt. So I did not use that. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to get this into my water, bring it up to a boil, let it cool down, and I will bring you folks back when we get to the point where we're going to start packing this into jars. Okay folks, we're back. So what you see here is I have 6 half-gallon mason jars that I have washed and rinsed, and they are ready to go. I don't know if I'm going to need 6. I don't know if I'm going to need more than 6, but 6 is what I planned on, so 6 is what I got. I've got all the beef over here cut into cubes. See? So I've got that here. I'm going to load the beef into the jars, and I'm going to layer in the brining mixture as I'm doing it. So I'm going to take you through one and show you what I'm doing. So I'm going to go ahead, and of course I thoroughly washed my hands before I started doing this. So I'm going to get some beef in there. I have a funnel handy just for ease. It's not necessary because we're going to clean these jars, but just to make it a little easier. So we got some brine already down there in the jar then. We can go ahead and get another layer of beef in here. Now, one of the things I like to do is use something. I have a long-handled wooden, I think it's called a spurtle. I got them at QVC, but they work excellent for this. And that's just to kind of push this down in there, make sure that we're getting the maximum occupancy in the jar. Because you do want this to be packed fairly tight. So do your best to get a little bit more brine in here, I think. It surprisingly doesn't take a lot of brine for a jar. A little bit goes a long ways. So the brine that we made in the beginning may end up being more than what we needed, but I'd always rather have too much than not enough, because it didn't cost me a lot to make the brine, and it's easy enough to make that, you know, I'm not going to feel bad about, you know, if I have to throw a little bit of it away. Now you can also save it in the refrigerator if you think you're going to brine something else in the future, because it does keep in the refrigerator as well. Alright, so I have got mine all the way up to the top here. I'll wash my hand real quick here. And all of the meat is covered, which is very important. Actually, you can just another drop or so in there. And then I have some hot soapy water and a cloth here. So I'm just gonna, I'm not canning this, but I still want it to be clean. And then I'm going to use a trick that I learned from my friend Mandy over at More to Life, which is I have a large and a small of the plastic mason jar lids. If you take the small one upside down, it sits right inside of here, and then you take your large one and screw it on, and it acts as the weight for the jar to keep everything submerged. And there you have one beautiful jar of what is going to become corned beef. Now, these are going to go in the refrigerator for a minimum of 7 days. Could be up to 10 days. You should take something like this once a day and just, you know, maneuver your jars just to make sure there isn't anything that isn't getting touched or isn't getting corned. So I recommend once a day, or at the very least once every other day, going in there and moving your jars around. So I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of these filled up. I will come back when I'm done with that and let you know how far this went, if I had enough jars or if I needed more, and then we'll get them in the refrigerator. Okay folks, we're back. I have everything packed in jars, so I ended up with 6 half gallons and a pint, which I thought the pint would be great because it'll be a test. So when I think this is done, I can cook up that little pint, make sure it's exactly where I want it to be, and then I'll know that I'm safe to can the rest of this. So what I started out with was 3 full beef briskets that were between 12 and 15 pounds. Now, you will find on most brisket, when you buy it, there is a considerable amount of fat. So that's why, although it seems like, anywhere between 36 and 45 pounds of meat would equal more than this, there was probably a good, I'm going to guess, 6 or 7 pounds of fat, which is now in my freezer and will be rendered down to make beef tallow. So that'll be another video to follow. But I'm happy with what I got in here. Like I said, these are now going to go in the bottom of my refrigerator to the back. I will take them out every day or every other day and just give them a good poke. And we'll wait 7 to 10 days. And when they are ready, I will come back and I will show you what they look like. And then we will do another video on canning them up. So I will see you in a week or so. Hi folks, welcome back. So, we are here 11 days later. Corned beef has been in the refrigerator. I'm going to tell you full disclosure, I never stirred it once. The time got away from me. I felt like I looked at it every day to make sure it didn't look bad. But I think it was just layered in there so well. There was enough, of the pickling juices in there everywhere. I think we're fine. So, what I did is, if you remember, I had the little pint jar. So I cooked that up in my pressure cooker. I just took it out. I rinsed it off. Rinsed the briny mixture off of it. Put it in my Instant Pot with just a little bit of water. I think about maybe a cup and a half of water. 45 minutes, and it is tender and perfect. So let me see if I can get a piece up here so you can see, see how it's still got a little give to it, which is what you want. You don't want it to fall apart, but it just, it's just tender. And it is perfect. Now, remember what I said. It's not going to be pink. Let me see if I can get a little bit more light for you guys. That might help a little bit. It's not going to be pink like traditional corned beef that you see, because I didn't use the sodium nitrate. So it's going to look more the color of roast beef. But let me tell you, it tastes like corned beef. So, I'm very happy with the results. So I have got 6 of these jars, of these half-gallon jars. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take all of this out of these jars. I'm going to give it a thorough rinse, and then I'm going to can it. And that is going to be a separate video. So now you know how to make your own corned beef. Stick around. In a few days, there'll be another video coming out that shows you how to can it and keep it on your shelf so you can have corned beef anytime you want it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, share, subscribe. Come back and see us soon. And as always, I hope you had a great day.